Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. It is the Impact Podcast. Welcome back. Welcome back. We hope all is well in your corner of the world. And so we're not delaying. We're not delaying because there's so much courageousness in the room that we have to jump right into it, right? We're not doing right, no appetizers or anything like that. We're jumping in because that's what life has us do sometimes. So this is what I'm going to do, especially you guys know our pre-podcast conversations always set us off. And so I'm like, let's just jump in and see what has been going on in Damaris's world so that she can tell us what has been a courageous conversation that you have had to have that just stands out to you. It could have been today. It could have been yesterday. It could have been 5 years ago.
I love the smirk. I love the smirk that you have in your, because you know some of them. And there has been a lot of courageous conversations that have to have happened these past few weeks, months, days, hours, minutes, right before this. I find myself in a way of life of not having to be silent anymore. Right. And not letting things pass just because, or even try to make excuses for somebody else. Right. So, just a few minutes ago, I had to have a courageous conversation with a parent. He was upset. He's like, well, aren't you a daycare center? And I was like, first of all, not even the title says daycare. Second of all, I don't know what daycare means. So let's have this conversation, right? And those are some courageous conversations because most childcare providers, they'll be, either, afraid of losing a parent or just not correcting someone where they at because they have a high stature. I went to school just like you do. I have a degree just like you do. I work just like you do. So you're going to respect me as a professional as you do, right? And I get it. You might be having a bad day. You might not like my decisions. However, my decisions are always best, not only for the families that I serve, but as well as the staff that I have. So if I have to think about 276 children, I also have to think about 52 staff members, right? So sometimes there's, people don't come out of what's in front of them, or they don't think about anybody else other than how life is affecting them. And I say, and I'm sorry that that's affecting you that way. I'm sorry you feel that way. However, let me bring you back to my reality. Walk a day in my shoes, and I bet you'll be thinking differently. So those are some of the many courageous conversations I've had to have. Again, I find myself in a way. It's not because I feel like I'm better than anybody. It's not because I feel like I'm in a financial bubble where I don't need to be bothered or anything. It's because I am holding true to my core values.
Yeah.
Right. And I know who I am. I feel confident who I am. I am blessed. I have a great family. I have a wonderful husband. I have very successful businesses. I have a mindset that I always think about helping other people. They take advantage of me, whatever, and I keep going. I don't hold anything to heart, if that makes sense. So because I am so secure, I feel that people try it, and then I have to have those courageous conversations. And then they label me. Useless, pushy, or like that angry Black woman type of syndrome. And I'm like, well, you're too assertive, or you're too this. I'm assertive because I'm speaking the way I speak all the time. The way I spoke to you yesterday when you was laughing, making jokes with me. But now you're upset and you find me differently. You find my speaking differently because now our conversation is different. And because I'm telling you what I don't like, so that's, I can go on and on and on, but this show is not about me. It is about Heather Plant and the courageous coach. And listen, I feel like I just need to get that out. Thank you, Aaliyah, for allowing me the space. But
had to do it. And so I am strategically kind of doing like a round robin so that we can land at Heather, because Heather's going to bring the true courageousness. So I was like, we're going to, trust me. We know Heather is here, and we're introducing you to Heather. I'm going to share mine real fast because when I tell you just timeliness, timeliness is so powerful. So right now I'm in a hotel room on a resort in New Mexico, and so I'm at a conference, and in exercise earlier today, literally the question was, if you had access to 5% more self-esteem, what would you start doing or stop?
Mhm.
And so, right, we've spoken about our thing, and most people know me. I'm like the quiet one, real smooth and chill. But being as though I'm also a mom who literally has children who have this very similar personality, I'm always telling them to advocate for themselves. And so,
Mhm.
who has to show up and do the same? So, what I said I would start doing is just saying what's on my mind without the thought of repercussion based on how someone else took what I said. And that's really similar to what you just said, Damaris. And I don't operate from a space of, oh my goodness, well, what is someone else going to say? To be honest, a lot of times I just honestly don't care that much. And I just be like,
Mhm.
I kind of live in this like, I don't see anything. I have no idea what you're talking about. However, I am learning how to be comfortable with hearing my own voice. And so for any of
Mhm.
my like introverts or quiet people, you may understand that. And so courageous conversations to me sounds like uncomfortable conversations or conversations that have to be had so that you can be a little more clear about where I stand, because you might take
Mhm.
my silence wrong. You might take the fact that I'm over here quiet, you might misinterpret it. So sometimes I might just have to, right, and very kind, but I might just have to share what's on my mind. And that's a courageous
Mhm.
conversation. And it may be more so for me than you. Um, but that's kind of where the courageousness sits for me in this moment. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass the ball to Heather, because she might, since she's a courageous coach, she might even, right, she might even be able to unpack that for me. I don't know. Heather,
You're gonna
Heather,
unpack me too, Heather, because go.
yes.
Oh man. Well, first, thank you so much for having me with you and to join you in this, because I love this. I love having conversations. I love meeting new people. And what's funny is, so I'm the courageous coach because I actually had so much fear growing up. And I call myself a professional hider. Like, got the domain on it, professionalhider.com. That is Heather. And it started when I was a kid and my parents had separated, and I created this belief that said, if Heather shows up as herself, I will create conflict, and conflict means disconnection. So we are going to avoid conflict at all costs.
Mm.
And that was my belief system. And I didn't consciously realize that, but what I had done is I had literally vowed to myself, "Hey, everyone!"
It's a full party now. It's a party.
That's right. Woo, woo. And so I was just sharing why I'm called the courageous coach, which you've heard my story, before. And so I vowed to myself, to my mom, because my mom, when they were separated, I saw all this pain she was going through, and I was like, I am not going to put my mom through more pain, because my brother was a total jerk and rebelled and just all kind of craziness, and my dad's gone, and I vowed I'm not going to put my mom through more pain. So that's when the hiding started, and I started stuffing my voice. I would stuff my needs, my opinions. I would really try to stuff down my big, loud personality, which didn't always work. So I got in a lot of trouble for talking. And I just realized, like, through different events, it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy of, Heather, if you show up yourself, you're going to cause conflict, and that's going to cause disconnection. And we don't want any of that.
Mm.
And so I became a doormat because I made myself a doormat.
Mm.
I did not know how to show up for myself. I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I didn't even know it was okay to advocate for myself. Like, I just was like, whatever anybody else wants is cool. So I was the most laid. I got along with everybody. I could talk with anybody. They all thought I agreed with them. That was just because I didn't share what I really thought. So I'm just shaking my head. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So everyone was like, oh, she's on my side. I'm like, no, I just didn't share my opinion. Right.
Don't
And
misinterpret the silence. Don't misinterpret it.
totally. And it was not until I started like this entrepreneurial journey, and I actually hit a moment with my husband, and I'd gone through a first bad marriage, and honestly, I got married because I just was happy someone liked me, and I never showed up myself to him. He, in fact, so much so that he would say, "Hey, you're different around your parents than you are around me," because I was afraid to be myself around him, which isn't fair to him, right? That was on me. I did that. And but in my marriage now to my husband, who of which it will be 19 years on Sunday. Super excited. So he is my best friend. And but I did not always have courageous conversations with him. And about 10 years ago, we started going through my husband made some financial choices that were not good. They were not smart. And I did not say anything. Mm-hmm. And I knew in my heart what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And I didn't tell him. Mm-hmm. I was too afraid. I was afraid he either wouldn't, accept it or receive it. But I never gave him the chance. And I just never said anything. And through all of that, we actually ended up in bankruptcy, which is like the worst thing that could happen. But it was the best thing that could happen. Because I was like, okay, I have to start talking. I have to communicate. And so him and I remember sitting at the kitchen table, having a conversation and saying, I did not share with you what I should have shared with you. And I am sorry. I am not showing up for our marriage. And he apologized. I apologized. And I said, and this I think will help people. If you're like me and you struggle to like share things, you got to create a safe space. And so I said, look, I am terrified of conflict. I need a safe space to practice having hard conversations.
That's good.
And he said, yes, fortunately, because to be honest, not everybody would, because it's hard, right? It's hard. And ladies, let me tell you about my practice. It was ugly. It was so ugly. I was so scared when something would come up. Like you were talking about Aaliyah, where it was like, okay, now if something comes up, I just got to say it right away. So I started practicing that.
With no filter.
I was so bad. I would like go, okay. And I would hem and I would haw. And I was like, okay, I need to tell you something. And I literally would pace. I would feel like I was going to faint. Like my hand would shake. I was just like, you would think I was going to tell him the hardest thing imaginable. And it would be just really something simple. Like, I just didn't like the way you said that. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, but because for decades I had stuffed my voice.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because those conversations are uncomfortable. And they were ugly. And I would cry. And it was so bad. And my husband, he would just smile at me. And he would just say, it's okay. It's okay. And I would just do it. And I'd eventually get it out. And I was like, that felt better. Okay. And then I have to do it again. And it was ugly. But it was like the more I did it, the easier it got. And the easier it got. And the less ugly it got. And now I can just go, hey, hon, you know what? When you said that actually, that really bothered me when you said that. This is how I took that, and then we'll have a conversation about it. And now it's easy. But oh my gosh, it was ugly, nasty. And I think most of us aren't willing to go through that ugly part to get to the comfortable part. To get, because courage isn't the absence of fear. Like, I was terrified. He's going to hate me. He's going to get mad at me. I'm going to make him feel bad. And I don't want to make people feel bad. Like, that's part of my personality. Like, I don't want to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
I gotta jump in here. This is
Yeah,
so
go.
good. This is so good, Heather. And it's so good because when I think about all the people, right, men and women that become doormats and they silence their voice and they don't even know where to begin. And so by you really illustrating the example, I felt like it was like the little engine that could,
Yes.
I think I can, right? The little engine that could. And so you starting with saying, I need a safe space, and your husband being willing to give you that safe space, like that was such a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was such
Yes.
a gift. That was such a gift. And he held space for you. And so
Yeah.
for those that's listening, this was just such a delicious conversation because even today I spoke to a few women who were like, I had to go back to my abuser. I'm with my abuser, this different things. And it's because they don't see themselves on the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
They're not having that courageous conversation. And so this was just really, really good because it happens
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
right, not just in an intimate relationship with a
Mhm.
partner. It happens in a workplace. It happens between parents and children, right?
Yep.
Adult children. It,
Yes.
it, it happens everywhere. So I just love how you kind of walked us through that. And even for those that's listening who don't have a safe space, I would say just stand in the mirror and
That's
talk it out.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stand in the mirror and talk it
Yeah.
out because you need to release it. Because if you don't,
Mhm.
it really does eat away at you. The more that you hold it
Oh,
in.
Yeah.
so agree. So agree. And because too, you're holding in. It's almost like holding unforgiveness. Even, like
Absolutely.
if you hold unforgiveness, it's like it starts to eat at you. It's the
Hmm.
kind of thing when you stuff your voice down so much. It's like when you start to finally talk, it's almost like when you have a frog in your throat.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
You don't know you have a voice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then I think you like breed resentment at some point. You breed,
Yes.
Yes.
and then it start pointing the finger at other people. But it's like,
Yes.
but you didn't say anything.
I
Well,
And I
didn't.
because
Yep.
the family showed up. Bitterness,
all the
resentment,
Yep.
disappointment, frustration.
Right.
The whole family showed up. The
The
cousins came to jump you.
yes.
I
And you know
love that
what's
you call it
funny?
the whole family. It's a package deal.
It's funny. Me and my literal self too. I'm like who's in the
What's
family?
family? What's family? I remember years ago, and it's just like during COVID, prior to the pandemic, I would go to platforms, work wise, and just be silent, just observe, be silent, didn't say anything,
Mm,
even if I didn't agree with certain things or didn't or wanted to say something, I would just keep quiet because I felt like it wasn't a safe space. I felt like my voice wasn't going to be heard. And once the pandemic happened, and so much death was surrounding us and so many uncertainty, right? And so many people were really going through trauma. I woke up that I found my voice, right?
mm.
And when I first opened up my voice, when other people realized I actually had a voice, they looked at me like, that's Damaris? Like, yeah, I've been here the whole entire time. Right. I do have a brain. I do have I'm pretty smart. I consider myself pretty smart. I'm very innovative. I do all these things. I just never say anything to you, but now I am. And you know why now I am? I'm going to say not really what I want, but what I want, what I feel,
Mm.
right? Because life is too short. And if anything, we just went through a whole entire pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're not living life, like Obiama said, life be lifing, right? However, we are the ones that have to control that. So if there's things that need to be said, then say them because tomorrow's not promised.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah,
so
and
good.
it's so interesting. I'm sure at some point I talked about that, right? Like my whole therapy thing, where it's interesting. Now, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and she also said, I had to take a look at the feelings wheel. I was like, exactly. That's a good
Yeah.
practice. I think for myself, what I'm realizing is I was quiet so long, I wasn't even sure how I felt, and so now
Yep.
I have to refer back and be like, give me a moment, let me see. I'm not sure how I feel. And when I
Yeah.
tell y'all, I think I mentioned the youngest, Egypt. That baby is my she's my teacher. I'll be looking at her like, you are so me. So I'll ask her sometimes, oh my
Mm.
God, how you feeling? And she'd be like, I don't know. I'd be like, I
Mm.
understand. First of all, I
Yeah.
respect the fact that you can say, well, I don't know right now in this moment. And I'm also not going to feel pressure to kind of find it for you, but
Hmm.
I will find it for me. And then I can work with that. And then I might come back and let you know. I might just work on that
Yeah.
myself. But I say that again. Now I feel like I'm finding my voice for the small voice, right? Because yeah, my therapist one time asked me, is a lot of it about avoiding conflict? And I was like,
Mm.
no. Other people might think it is.
Yeah.
Again, I don't care. But then he's like, well, do you not really? So now I'm like, you took me down this rabbit hole. I don't know if I care or not. I think right.
Yeah.
So what starts to happen though is a lot more questions get asked. And the more
Yeah.
questions,
That's
now we
good.
get to the bottom of something, and then we can uncover. We can
Right.
uncover. So and then
Yeah.
we find that beautiful soul underneath, and now we can shine, right? And I think especially us working with children is so important, because now we can also help those smaller voices. Just because they're in
Hmm.
those smaller bodies doesn't mean it's less important. But
Yeah.
I think it's important for us working with children, and who have children, and who is navigating the little child within. So
Hmm. That's so good. I love that you said that. So when you were talking, it made me think of um, a question that can open up another question.
yes.
So like you might look on the outside like you and I have similar behavior, but the motivation is different.
Oh, that's good.
My motivation was to avoid conflict. I got to keep the harmony and keep the peace. But everybody's got a different motivation why they do what they do. So that'd be a curious thing to kind of dig into to see like, oh, why do I do that?
I like
You
it.
know, what is my motivation? Because it's probably something different than conflict. It could be, you know, could be any number of things.
True.
But I love to the thing with the children, the more we understand ourselves, the more we're students of ourselves, the more we understand people and how we kind of work and what makes us tick, the more we can help the kids. Like I
Exactly.
noticed even in my own kids, I have one of them is a no conflict. She does not like conflict. And I literally, you can watch her siblings will be fighting and you could see her like kind of scooching out of the room. And I'm like, get over here. Come on, come on. So I'm helping her to, okay, because what I learned is when I engage with conflict, good things happen. So that was my
Mm,
new mantra I made for myself.
I like
Whenever
it.
I talked with my husband and actually told him what I thought, something good came out of it. Like we worked it out, or I at least got it off my chest. Something good came out.
Yeah.
And it's helped me to have other conversations with other people. And so now I'm helping my daughter. All right, come on back.
Yes.
Let's talk this out. What's going on? What's bothering you? You know what I mean? And helping her to unpack that now. Because and my mom loved me, but my mom didn't realize what was going on and how much I internalized stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Had she known that, I really believe she would have helped me.
Agree.
But me going through this, going, oh, I can spot that a mile away and start, well, let's deal with it now while you're, 11.
Yeah.
And actually, we've been dealing with it for a few years now, but you know what I'm saying? And helping the kids through those conversations now, because if they can have them now, how much easier it'll be when they're an adult.
Oh my God. My daughter is totally backwards, like totally different. My 12-year-old, I have to say, lift your voice, but lift it respectfully, because sometimes she comes so harsh, and like her mom, right?
Powerful.
She's very powerful, and she says things, and I get calls from the school like, your daughter said this, and I'm like, well, I would say the same thing. Now, were you upset of what she said or how she said it?
How she? Oh,
Because
that's good.
the message was good, right?
Right.
The message was very clear. Was it too clear? And that is what offended you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
irritated
Oh, that's good.
you. Okay,
Yeah.
that was an irritation
Yeah.
for
Right?
you.
Because
Oh,
you
that's
know it,
interesting.
it wasn't disrespectful. It was very straightforward. She
Oh, all right.
herself. She said what she felt, and you're upset as an adult, as a teacher, because she
Yeah.
disagreed with something that was totally not right for her.
Mm.
So because
Yeah.
you're taken back because it's intimidating, or you find it disrespectful because it's a 12-year-old or it's your student. But where is allowing your students to speak?
Yeah.
Have a
It's kind of
voice.
like that do as you're told type of thing, but don't say nothing. I said, and that's the way I was brought up, right? And that's why I had that buried voice,
Mm.
because I was brought
Yeah.
up, where you're seen and
These
not heard of.
seen in the, yes.
Yeah, you can't say nothing around, don't speak around adults. I wasn't able to speak at all, never. So, that's another thing as well. But I prefer my children not to be that way. You can speak,
Yeah.
lift your voice, but be respectful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
And that leads me to a question too. I was going to ask you, Heather, because especially towards the beginning when you were talking about having these conversations with your husband, and Damaris brought that up in regards to her daughter. What's the difference between being courageous and being, I had the word, being combative?
That's good.
That is good. I think it's motivation. Why? Like what motive are you coming at this conversation with? Are you coming at the conversation to be able to make sure your voice is heard, your opinions heard, and it matters, and to listen, because that's another part of a courageous conversation is the talking, but it's also the listening.
Yes.
Are you coming with an open heart, an open mind, listening to their side as well? Because maybe it could be just a misunderstanding in some circumstances, or even if you don't agree, hey, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But that motive, I think, behind it versus like, I'm going to do what I want, and this is my, you know what I'm saying? And like coming at it isn't, I'm just going to get what I want because that's what I want, because that's what I want, versus, hey, let's try to make this a win-win.
I like it.
I like that too. That is so good. Check your motive. Check your motive. Right. That's the difference. Check your motive, because in any conversation, because it's really all about communication. And in any conversation, when you are going into the conversation with your guard up, it's really hard for any results or solutions to happen anyway, because you're so guarded. So you can't hear anything or receive anything that the other person is saying. So again, checking the motive. Like, are you coming to this conversation to fight, or are you coming to this conversation to receive?
I have a goody question. You ready?
I don't know. You got the hands rubbing.
Is that like a Mr. Goodbar goody question? It's like it's tasty.
Would it be seen competitive if it was a man doing the same thing versus a woman?
Okay, now personally, I still think it comes down to motive. Personally. Now, I think there's situations where someone else may look at that and say, no, it's not combative, because I understand that. Now, I am not an assertive type, okay? But I have a lot of friends that are. And so I know that as a woman, especially in a workplace, you could come across, they will call you a different name if you're assertive versus a man coming at it, and they'll just say, oh, he's assertive, versus, she's a something
with the same message, right? With the same tone, same message.
But when you think about it, that's because of that other person. Yeah. That's the label that they put on there.
Yes.
But I think when you're in a I think personally, when you still come at it as assertive, but that open in a conversation, even if somebody thinks that, you know you did the right thing. And that's what matters.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at
And
it in a lens where how people perceive, right? That because I can scaffold on top of that question too, because there's so much, not only men versus women, but how about women of color versus, when a woman of color comes,
Mhm.
okay.
now
Yeah.
perceived in a certain way as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways,
Mhm.
to look at this.
I think too, I love to watch people. I love to people watch. That's one of the things I love to do. And you can be assertive in ways with and still come across as soft.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Where you are purposely coming in a way that helps other people take their guard down.
Yeah.
Body language,
That's skill.
energy you come with,
Yeah.
right? A smile.
Mm.
Like, just because you got a hard conversation doesn't mean you can't smile. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get them to get their guard down, and but you could be strategic about it, right? And still say exactly what you need to say.
Put a smile in your face.
Yes. And you know what? You got the upper hand, really,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're
I'm
in
gonna
a
practice that.
you,
I'm gonna
right?
I'm gonna practice that right now.
Oh,
Maybe
I gotta tell you, there's a book that is amazing when it comes to that type of thing. Body language, vocal cues, and it's called Cues, Cues, and it's by Vanessa Van Edwards.
Vanessa.
And she is the master of body and vocal tone. Okay, and that book is all about that, and it's finding this mix between that assertive and where you're coming across as charismatic instead of like aggressive.
I'm putting that in
And
my heart right now.
it's really good. And she's got videos too. It's the science of people, and
That.
it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. So if that's something you want to like look into, she's one to check out.
I just love her cover. It's just amazing.
Oh, this
She does have great
actually,
covers.
I think this is so perfect because I've been waiting to ask you about this. I don't know if everyone is familiar with Enneagram.
Yeah.
And I saw, yes, and so I saw that you are expert in or trained
Yes.
or
Yeah, I'm
yes,
certified in the Enneagram.
certified.
Yeah.
Can you tell the people what the Enneagram is, what that does? Because I think it could be so powerful in relationships and in the workplace. And then we could probably then get into, because when you said
Yeah.
assertiveness, it made me think of it. So Enneagram.
So it's interesting. And so I've actually said things that are Enneagram lingo without talking about the Enneagram. So the Enneagram is a personality typing system. But what I love about the Enneagram, it's not this is who you are and you're stuck there. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the systems are like, I'm this, and this is what it is. The Enneagram, what it is, it reveals to you why you do what you do, your motive. See, we all have a core fear, and our core fear came from our childhood. And it was literally, we created defense mechanisms and adaptive strategies to survive our childhood, like all the stuff that you go through. My Enneagram number, core fear, is conflict. I am called the adaptive peacemaker. I am type number 9. There are 9 types, and my type is terrified of conflict because it has to keep the peace and it has to keep the harmony. And I can pinpoint exactly where it came from in my childhood, and you can see it. But what happens is that worked for me as a little kid to keep me safe. But I took it into adulthood where all it did was hurt me. And I became the doormat. I lost my voice. I went through a bad marriage, and the first part of my second marriage was we had some challenges because I didn't show up as Heather. And so each number has its own core motivation. And my husband, he's a type 3, and they're the competitive achiever. Okay. Which sounds great. But his core motivation is he has to achieve, because if he doesn't, he feels worthless. Like his worth is literally wrapped up in achieving. But me knowing that, my language shifts so that when I talk to him, I make sure he knows I love him for him. So when we went through all that financial stuff, I made sure he knew, I don't care what mistakes you made. I don't care that, all this stuff happens. I love you for you, not for what you do, right? Like just knowing something so small like that is priceless in a relationship. You had them on the podcast, Kat Schudel and Becky Mitchell.
Yes.
They're type 7s. Type 7s is the enthusiastic visionary. They got vision up the wazoo. They are excited, but their core motivation is to avoid pain. So they're going and moving to the next great thing and the next great thing and the next great thing because they're trying to avoid pain. So like each number has a motivation of why it does what it does,
Heather, do you remember what mine was? I don't remember.
Yes, I do. You are a type 8.
Okay.
And that is that's the challenger. Okay.
Is that a test? I want the test.
It is.
It is.
It is. And let me just say, so Heather, we worked together, was 2 years ago?
About 2 years ago, I think.
About
yeah,
2 years ago.
Right.
So I don't know if Heather also told you all that she is like amazing at putting curriculum together for personal development and programs and all kind of stuff. So I had the honor of hiring Heather to turn my book into a curriculum. Yes, my Breathe book, she turned it into a curriculum. So a part of that process, and it was grueling, but a part of that process was her doing the Enneagram assessment to kind of get an idea of my personality as it relates to the book, as it relates to the curriculum and all that kind of stuff. So we worked a few weeks.
Yeah. And so go into your Enneagram number as an 8. So the 8 is motivated by they don't want to be seen as weak and vulnerable, and they usually had to grow up too fast is what happened, and so they'll show up with strength, and I like to describe them as a marshmallow on the inside with barbed wire on the outside. Okay. Very soft and squishy, but and it's really about control. And those are like that when we talk about the motivation. So that's the negative side. But what our goal is to go is from a negative to the positive side, because there's beautiful positive, because one of the things about the 8 is they are champions for the underdog. And something about the 9, because I'm actually good at seeing all the sides. I can see like all the sides of all the numbers, all the opinions. And I could see, I could see this about that and this about that, which also helps with the curriculum thing too, actually. But what's interesting too is there's assertive types, there's compliant types, and there's withdrawn types. And so because there's 9 numbers, there's 3 assertives, 3 compliance, and 3 withdrawals. And so assertive types, this is a way you could probably come up with, at least narrow it down to like 3. If you know an assertive type, they know what they want and they go get it. That's an assertive type. So the 3s, 7s, and 8s are assertive types. The compliant types is they need to go about getting what they want the right way. So it'd be like following the rules, or you're supposed to go to school and get the degree so then you can go do the thing. I can't skip that. I've got to do it the right way, right? So those are the compliant types. And then the withdrawn types they might see what they want, they might not, but they're waiting for life to drop in their lap. I'm a withdrawn type. And I could see that pattern of I was sitting there waiting for life to drop in my lap. And so my journey to transformation is to go, Heather, what do you really want? Now go get it.
I love that.
Get off your tushy and go get it, right?
Love it.
Love it.
Where an assertive type might go, maybe I need to sit on this. Maybe I need to pray about this. Maybe I need, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not always quick, go get it and do whatever I need to get, so, but that's just kind of the Enneagram in a nutshell. And it's some people don't like personality tests. It's like, it puts me in a box. And I like to say the Enneagram actually doesn't put you in a box. It shows you the box you already put yourself in and helps you find a path to transformation.
I love that.
And if you were to look at me now and my number, people would go, you're a what? You're really? Because you're so, I'm not the stereotypical, but that's because I've been working on myself, right?
And I love the numbers too are such, they help shine the light on, I know for me personally, it was liberating. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. I feel so left out.
Okay, so you don't know. So, Leah, do you know your Enneagram type? Are you?
Well, I'm reading it now. As you guys are talking.
You did the test? That fast?
So, yeah, I'm the challenger.
That's fair.
I knew you were an 8 like me.
I'm the challenger. I got the 8.
Eight's got to know an 8.
I honestly don't remember, because what I did the Enneagram first a couple of years ago, and then I did the disc, and I think I've been remembering
like mixed
more. Yeah, I think I've been remembering that more. The Enneagram I have been doing like with my coaching clients before we really dig into how we do business. We kind of uncover that part because it tells us so much about ourselves and then the kind of business owners and leaders we are. Because sometimes we think it's another issue, but it's like,
right.
No,
if y'all speak a different language.
The 9 wing, what does that mean? The bear. Ooh, I'm a bear.
Oh, all right. So the 9 would help soften the 8.
Let me find it.
It would be able to see the other sides of somebody's situation and their viewpoint, to be able to soften that 8 a bit so that it doesn't come off quite as assertive or aggressive would probably be a better way to put it. It can. And there's different, and I won't get into it, but there's even like subtypes and stuff that adjusts your number. It's like, when you go into the paint store and you're like, I want red. There's a bajillion kinds of red, right? Yeah. There's different shades.
They have it here as healthy levels, like average levels, unhealthy levels. Oh my God. I'm going to call you on this. Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing, not just for, right, I was saying I do it with the business owners, but I know for me in regards to staff, which is why I also wanted to bring it up, it's also a strategy. It's the strategy to kind of help us as a team uncover a little more about who we are as an individual, but also for the team. Sometimes we get frustrated, like, oh my gosh, like you're frustrated at them, but it's because of their makeup and who they are. Like you said, you could kind of, I don't want to say handle your husband, but you understood how to communicate with him because you understood his number. And sometimes we're getting frustrated with something like, I'm task oriented. So when I have someone, I had a staff member kind of explain how they operate, and I was like, that makes sense. So when we understand our people in that way, you get to navigate that a little easier. But another strategy I use in regards to understanding people's personality is there's times I want to hire someone who is totally not me or like the team. So when it comes to recruiting, I don't want I want you to be totally opposite. So that
fill in the gap where you're weak.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I love the quote from Jim Rohn. It says, "Each of us needs all of us, and all of us needs each of us." There's no bad number. There's no bad type. There's no bad personality. There's just healthy and not healthy, and somewhere in between, right?
I don't know. There's a level 9 here that I'm a little concerned about. I put it in the chat. Like, what is this?
Oh, yes, that could be danger zone. Yes.
Yeah, danger zone.
Is it the levels of disintegration? Is that what you're?
Yeah. But it's interesting, Reed. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It is very interesting.
Damaris is going to be on this. She's going to be
all night. All night. You don't even know. This stuff fascinates me.
I love it. And we have all the types in us, to be honest. Mm-hmm. It's just we have a dominant one that is the lens that we're looking through and the motive that we have. But I love you're talking about the workplace because, think about if say you're in that, you're in a meeting and you're brainstorming and you're coming up and you got the visionaries in there. They're coming up with all these ideas and this is amazing. We could do this and this and this. And you got that one person in the back of the room that starts questioning. Well, what if this happens? And then what if that happens? What if this happens? Okay. There's one of the numbers, the type 6, the loyal skeptic. They got a backup plan for the backup plan for the backup plan, right? You need that person. Yes. You just don't need them in the brainstorming session. You need to take them. And so you brainstorm, right? You get all the vision out and then you got a plan. And then you take it to that person that knows all the backup plans and you go, all right, put holes in this. And they're going to tell you exactly where the holes are at. And they're like, all right, well, you need to do this. And, what if this happens? Okay, if you're registering people and you've got 2 lines, but you've got 500 people coming in a half an hour, you're never going to get them all through the line. You've got to have, what I mean? They're going to know all so you need that person. It's just a matter of putting them in the right place so that you're maximizing their gifts, right? Because that's a gift to have a backup.
Right seat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And setting people up for success. Yep.
You have to be able to know your team to be able to.
Yes.
Very strategic.
Agreed. Totally agree. Yeah.
And investing in them as well, right? Investing in your team is pretty thing. So Biama, I need you to do this when you come to do my totally off topic, but I'm already telling you what you need to do.
I got you. I'm right.
Got it. We are right because we're both number 8s.
Yes.
Whatever.
You speak the same language.
Yes. And Nikki, me over here. I'm the other number. I'm gonna go back and find it. I don't know where my
you need to because like the gals I do podcast, they're both 7s. But because I understand the 7, I'm like, all right, I got it. Even though I'm totally different.
I think it's mostly like, what we're talking about is definitely stuff with courageous conversations. And it kind of falls within those lines. I called up Yama today. I was talking with my team and we're doing end of the year appraisals, right? And we want our team to really provide us with the feedbacks, the end of the year's feedback staff where they rate us and they tell us what's good about the program. And so we can use that as improvement. And I said to Abiyama, we're not getting the data we need. I need an outsider to come in. I need to create a safe space for them to be able to really speak. And I need you to come in and I need you to do that. We don't want to do it. We want an outsider to come in. Yeah. I want you to connect with my team. I want you to know who they are, how they are. You know how to kind of decipher the bull, how to really put in. And we want real-time data because it's been a couple of years and we're not getting the data we want because they're not comfortable or they're not sane or they feel like they don't want to or, you have the naysayers, you have the people in 6, you have the people in 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. But, so I feel like...
Because 9s don't want to make you feel bad.
Exactly. And then you have some that don't feel comfortable lifting their voice. Mm-hmm. Right? So they just agree with everything. Everything's perfect. Yeah. But
it's not.
I know
nothing's ever perfect.
Exactly. So I feel like this is the perfect conversation today because it kind of like puts in perspective the vision that I had. And so immediately I called Obiama and I said, hey, I have this crazy idea. Has this ever been done in childcare? She said, no, well, let's do it.
I love it.
Let's do it, you know? And so, well, let's do it. Let's allow that, create that space,
Yes.
get real-time data, because we have to have authentic conversation, real conversations in order to improve. And if we,
Right.
even, you know, work environment, school environment, everything. So I don't know. I just, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
I love that you're doing that, because I've been in cultures where they don't do that
Yeah.
and they think everything's great. And we're behind the scenes going, don't they know they're terrible at communicating and the culture is hurting people and people are leaving out the back door faster than they're coming in the front. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I appreciate that you're thinking like that as a leader, to really care about your people and to care about the quality of the culture that they get to work in. I think that's phenomenal.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that definitely resonates, like workplace, which I thought it was. This conversation is so important personally, right? And you know, as in our households as well as in our workplaces, and just this idea of courageous conversation. I know as we're wrapping up, I will never forget my first. I thought I was having courageous conversations. The very first person I had to fire, I was like, "What do you mean? We've been having lots of courageous conversations behind the closed doors." I thought we were good and clear. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know they were as toxic as they were. And I will never forget my husband saying to me, "I think you're scared of her." And I was like, and so what it made me think about was, is that what everyone else think or sees? And because I am a person who feels I want to protect other people, I don't like bullies. I don't like people who make, right, when we're talking about this positive work environment or this work culture where you come and feel safe, I was like, oh, that's a non-negotiable. Now that totally turned on the no. No. So it turned from like courageous conversation to like the real courageous move in order to make the change in my business that I wanted to make. And I think
That's good.
sometimes we do have to take those blinders off and really be even take the courageousness a notch up a little bit, because I really thought I was being courageous. Like, you know, I'm having a conversation behind closed doors. We're all clear. Are we clear? And it was like, no. And I will never forget, after she left, I walked back in and they were like clapping. And I felt like I never forgot that, because it was kind of like, thank you. And I'm like, you know, and again, sometimes we as the leaders or business owners, it can be us. It can be us allowing the work environment to be however it is, or not really doing anything about it. So whoever that may have resonated with, I will never forget the first fire. And you know, really try to be committed to,
and the standing ovation.
Right? Would you say?
The standing ovation.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, but I felt horrible. I didn't feel like thank you. It was like, oh my gosh, like you guys were really impacted by that. So for those of us who, you know, and again, our households or our work environment, like this could be a perfect moment to take the Enneagram test, to just kind of check in with ourselves and see where we can shine the light on something, and then you know,
well, how can we reach you, Heather?
Yes, please.
My website is heatherbunch.com, and I actually have the Enneagram on there. So if somebody is interested, there's an Enneagram tab where they can kind of read a little more about it. You can pick which tests you want. There's even like a couples report that they have, which is awesome. You could do with your spouse, and it puts your numbers right next to each other. And my husband and I did that. And it was after we'd really been working on stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, we had that problem. Oh yeah, we had that problem. Oh, we worked on that, but that was a problem. Like it nailed it. It was crazy. And it makes a big difference, you know. There's even a team report. Now that you'd have to contact me. But they actually have team reports where you can have them for each of your team members, and it gives your workplace an Enneagram number. So you see what the actual environment or culture is for your workplace as overall, which is very fascinating. That can be interesting. So, and you can, if you need to email me, it's hello at heatherbunch.com.
I like that. That's different.
Hello at what? Did you write it? Did you write it?
I'm about
Hello at heatherbrunch.com.
Well, when we first started, you said something.com. What was it? The lonely what no, you mentioned something.com. And I went online. I was like, wait a minute, is she joking?
Oh, professional hider.
Yes,
professional. I love that.
So I actually do own the domain on that, and
Really?
it forwards to my website. So
Nice.
that way, because my number, as my Enneagram number, I couldn't get up and lie to you. Like, I am the worst liar. So
Same.
if I am gonna say like professionalhider.com, I got the domain on it, I got the domain on it, and then it goes to my website.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Tell me your email one more time. Hello at Heather.
Heather Bunch, BUNCH, like Brady Bunch, bunchgrapes.com.
Cute.
Well, this has been
I
such
love
a delicious conversation. Oh my goodness. For those of you that's watching the replay, you definitely, we want to hear from you. We've been having just these really, really great conversations since we entered into 2024. And I'm just so excited about how we are growing together.
I love it. I just want to say thank you, ladies. This was so much fun. Like,
So much fun.
you ladies are awesome.
Thank you. You're
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
You as well. I know, like I totally want to like play together. How can we like
I
play?
know.
Right.
You're not local, are you?
No, I'm in St. Louis area.
You're in St.
Not
Louis.
too
We're
too
going to
far.
St. Louis, guys. We're going to the Head
We
Start
You
conference.
coming here?
That's not, we're going to St. Thomas.
Ah! I wish I was in St. Thomas.
No, St. Louis. Okay. No, I'm going to St. Louis, guys. Sorry. Heather, I see you in St. Louis.
Did you see that? Did y'all see that? Everybody saw it. She just totally left. Okay.
I know. Since when you start going to stuff without us, I'm so stuck away.
Well, I mean, Aaliyah is at where in
New
where are you?
Mexico.
Well, that's different though, because she's in
You're
the
not
program.
even both of you are not even home right now.
You
Stop.
right. You right. I'm in Minnesota. That's right.
You're in Minnesota. Aaliyah, where are you?
New Mexico.
Okay.
Well, hang on. She said she's at a resort in New Mexico.
That's
by the
fine.
way.
Guys, it's a mountain.
I
It's
am
a mountain.
home. I'm home. Okay. I'm home.
Okay. All right, Damaris. All right. So take pictures and then we'll have to set a date.
Oh, I'm
where
coming.
We can
I'm
all
coming.
all get together.
I want to
and
get on the wheel
talk
and
about
all
our
that stuff.
Enneagram.
I'm going to take pictures. We're just going to tell everybody, look.
And they're going to have Enneagram conversations and all of that. That's okay. That's okay.
I love it.
Let's not. This will not be the last time. We'll say this. We'll say that. And
Wait, can we
everyone-
bring Heather to the Impact?
November.
Yeah.
November. Would you like to come to Philly? November.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, send me info on that.
I
All
believe,
right, we'll do.
yeah, I think it's November 7th.
All right.
All right, we're sending Heather the information. You are officially invited to the Impact Summit, where we take this thing that we're doing on this platform in person, and we have lots of fun. And so we'll have some goodies. We'll have some goodies.
I
and
love it.
It'll be a great time. We're gonna go out
Love
and
it.
everything. Okay, we're going.
All right. I'm down. I'm down with that. I love me a good party.
Say,
So
hey, we gotta bring Kat. We gotta bring.
I was gonna say, Kat and Becky gotta come.
Oh boy,
Yeah, that's it. We have
because they would be doing exactly what y'all did to Damaris and going, I didn't get right. I need help. What are you doing without me?
Right.
So I think that will be our panel for the Impact in November.
I love it.
I think, yeah.
It's a powerful
I love
mindset.
It's done. It's
No,
done.
I
So
love it.
what
It's
we'll
done.
do. This is what we'll do. We are going to wrap this episode up because we can be here all night. We can be here all night, and I have to go to dinner soon. It's 6:00 here. But
Yes.
listen, thank you so much, Heather, for
love
blessing
it.
us with your presence and all your courageousness. I felt it.
pleasure.
I felt it. Thank you for your story. Thank you, Damaris and Obiama, for coming on and doing what you ladies do. I can't wait to compare numbers and share numbers so that we can all uplift one another with all of our amazingness. And thank you guys for watching. If you are watching either now or the replay, send us a comment. Send us your Enneagram number so we can all, kind of clap for everyone for finding who they are and getting a little deeper and doing something about it. So until next time, this is the Impact Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Oh, get your tickets. Get your tickets. The summit is on April 27th. Get your tickets.
Thank you. You see the 9? You see the number 9?
Eight.
Number 8. That's the number 8. The Challenger. Get your tickets. April 27th, the Impact Summit. We'll see you there.
Bye.